On a radar screen somewhere along Iran's southern coast, an operator watches a single contact turn into a dozen. No training scenario prepared him for this. One aircraft entering the screen, then splitting into a formation of small, fast-moving returns scattered across the sky like buckshot. This is the moment the Pentagon has spent close to a decade building toward, ever since DARPA first sketched out what it called a Mothership program. What happens when a single aircraft can dump an entire strike package into the sky in seconds? And what happens to 60 years of air defense doctrine when the aircraft on your scope is actually 12 aircraft, all at once, all expendable? The answer starts with what Iran built to keep American aircraft out of its airspace in the first place. Over the past 15 years, Iran assembled one of the densest air defense networks outside of Russia and China themselves. Russian-supplied S-300 batteries sit alongside the domestically produced Bavar 373, a long-range system Iran claims can track and engage stealth targets at ranges past 200 kilometers. Layer in shorter-range systems and a dense web of early warning radar, and you get contested airspace in the truest sense. Flying a crewed aircraft through that network is not a theoretical risk. It is an operational cost measured in airframes and, when things go wrong, in pilots. The traditional way of dealing with that threat was simple, and simple wasn't good enough anymore. Send in a stealth fighter alone, or send in a single drone, one at a time, hoping speed and radar cross-section keep it alive long enough to finish the mission. That model works fine against a lightly defended target, against a network built specifically to kill exactly this kind of aircraft. Sending assets in one at a time just means feeding the machine. DARPA's answer wasn't a better single aircraft. It was a different math problem entirely. Build a mothership that carries several small drones inside it, launches them mid-flight, lets them do the dangerous work, and then recovers them in the air for reuse. Instead of one expensive, irreplaceable asset crossing the border, you send in a swarm of cheap, disposable ones, and the manned aircraft carrying them never has to get close. The program that proved this could work has a name most people have never heard: Gremlins. DARPA built it around a C-130 transport as the mothership and a small jet-powered drone called the X-61A as the payload, a drone designed from day one to be launched, flown, and brought back rather than thrown away after a single mission. It didn't come easy. Early in testing, the program suffered a failure bad enough that people close to it questioned whether the whole recovery concept was even possible. That failure almost buried Gremlins before it had a chance to prove anything. So did DARPA actually solve it? Because everything downstream, long-shot, collaborative combat aircraft, the entire mothership concept the Pentagon is now betting on, depends on the answer being yes. Picture the C-130 as more than a cargo plane. Underneath its wings, mounted on pylons normally reserved for fuel tanks, sit the X-61A drones, 4 of them per test, each one just under 1,300 pounds fully loaded. The C-130 releases them in sequence, and each drone falls clear, unfolds its wings, and lights its own turbojet engine before flying off to do a job the mothership never could on its own. Some run intelligence and surveillance patterns over the target. Some jam enemy radar. Some just fly around looking like something worth shooting, forcing the enemy to spend a missile on a machine worth a fraction of what they just fired at it. Here's where the program stops being a drone launcher and becomes something the Air Force had never actually pulled off before. The X-61A doesn't crash land, and it doesn't get thrown away after one flight. It comes back. The recovery works like this. The drone flies up behind the C-130 and lines up with a stabilized capture device trailed on a line behind the aircraft, something closer to a fishing rig than anything on a normal flight line. A docking bullet built into the drone's nose connects with that capture mechanism mid-air, and once it locks in, the drone gets reeled toward the mothership and stowed inside the fuselage. Ground crews can refuel it, check it over, and get it back on a pylon ready to fly again within 24 hours. That last detail is worth pausing on because it's not a footnote, it's the entire point of the program. Air launching a small drone off a bigger aircraft isn't new. The Air Force has done versions of that for years. What nobody had demonstrated at this scale was pulling that same drone back out of the sky, in flight, and reusing it on the very next sortie. That single capability changes the cost equation for everything built on top of it. Think of it the way the Navy handles submarine tenders. Ships built specifically to service and resupply smaller vessels that couldn't survive on their own for long. Gremlins does the same job, except it's happening at several hundred feet per second instead of tied up at a dock. Getting there almost didn't happen. During a 2021 flight test, one of the X-61A drones came in for recovery and its parachute system failed. Instead of a smooth capture, the drone slammed into the ground and was destroyed. It's the kind of failure that ends programs. Recovery, the one capability the entire concept depended on, had just failed in public, in front of the people deciding whether Gremlins deserved more funding. DARPA didn't walk away from it. Engineers traced the failure back to the parachute system, made changes to the recovery hardware, and kept flying. In the tests that followed, the C-130 successfully recovered multiple X-61A drones in a single mission, proving the capture and stow process could work again and again, not just once under ideal conditions. So the recovery problem got solved. 4 drones launched, flown, and pulled back out of the sky by one aircraft. Now ask the question that actually matters for a fight against a network like Iran's. What happens when it's not 4 drones coming off that mothership, but dozens? Gremlins proved the concept. It did not finish the job. DARPA and the Air Force are already building the next layer on top of it, and that layer has a name: Longshot. Longshot flips the script on what an air-launched drone is even for. Instead of flying reconnaissance or jamming patterns like the X-61A, Longshot carries its own weapons. A crewed fighter releases it well outside enemy range, and Longshot flies the rest of the way in, closing the distance and firing on the target itself. The fighter that launched it never has to enter the kill zone. It gets to fire from a standoff distance that keeps the pilot and a very expensive airframe out of reach of the exact systems built to shoot it down. That detail is not abstract when the threat is Iran's air defense grid. The Bavar 373 and S-300 batteries scattered across Iranian territory have engagement envelopes stretching past 200 kilometers, built specifically to force any approaching aircraft into a narrow, exposed corridor. Send in one manned jet, and the network has one target to solve for, and every radar operator on that shift knows exactly what a single high-value contact looks like on their screen. Send in a mothership that spits out a dozen Longshot-style drones instead, and the network suddenly has a dozen problems arriving at once, most of which are not worth the missile it would take to stop them. That's the logic underneath all of it, and it is not complicated. A Longshot drone or an X-61A costs a fraction of what a single air-to-air missile costs to fire back at it, let alone the cost of the fighter jet it might otherwise have replaced. Every time a defender fires an interceptor at a drone worth a rounding error on the defense budget, the economics of that fight tilt further away from the side doing the intercepting. Fielded at scale, that is not a tactical edge. It is a budget problem for whoever's on the other end of that radar screen. The Air Force has been open about where this is heading. Its collaborative combat aircraft program, the uncrewed jets meant to fly alongside F-35s and the F-47 as autonomous wingmen, is the operational bridge between what Gremlins proved in testing and what a full-scale mothership deployment would look like in a real theater. Gremlins solved recovery. Longshot solved standoff strike. Collaborative combat aircraft is where those pieces start operating together, in numbers, as part of a single mission package instead of isolated demonstrations. None of this is happening in a vacuum. China's People's Liberation Army has run its own swarm launch tests off larger aircraft, and Russia has pushed its own loyal wingman concepts alongside newer fighter programs, even with a defense budget under real strain. The mothership idea is not an American monopoly, and it will not stay a surprise for long once someone else fields it first. So the question driving the next phase of this program isn't whether mothership-launched drones can work. Gremlins already answered that. The question is how fast the Pentagon can turn tested hardware into something that can fly against a live air defense network on short notice, the next time a crisis with Iran stops being hypothetical. Picture the actual contingency planners are working through right now. A crisis with Iran turns hot. Before a single F-35 crosses into contested airspace, a C-130 mothership orbiting well offshore starts releasing its drones. Some head straight for Iran's early warning radar sites, jamming their ability to see anything clearly. Others act as decoys, forcing S-300 and Bavar 373 batteries to light up and fire on targets that cost less than the missile used to kill them. By the time manned aircraft actually approach the border, the network meant to stop them is already blind in patches, low on interceptors, and guessing at what's real. That's the scenario. Now for the honest part, Gremlin's recovery is tested and proven, multiple flights, multiple in-air captures, hardware that's flown and come back to fly again. Longshot is further behind. What's public is concept demonstrations and ground testing, not a combat representative strike against a live integrated air defense network like Iran's. Anyone telling you Longshot has already been proven in that exact scenario is guessing, not reporting. The gap between a successful test flight and a system cleared for a real contingency is where a lot of defense programs quietly stall out, and it's fair to treat that gap as real until the Pentagon says otherwise. Here's what doesn't need qualification though. Every drone launched into that kind of airspace is a manned sortie that didn't have to happen. That matters because the US has already lost pilots and aircrew to exactly this kind of contested airspace in the region, and every mission flown by an X-61A or a Longshot class drone instead of a crewed jet is one less person exposed to a shoot-down, a rescue operation, or worse. That's not a talking point. That's the actual practical output of solving the recovery problem. Fewer people flying into the part of the sky built specifically to kill them. What changed concretely is this. DARPA didn't stop at a slide deck or a wind tunnel model. Gremlins flew, it launched, operated, and came home more than once under real flight conditions. The Mothership stopped being a concept on paper the moment that first X-61A got reeled back into the C-130's belly. What's left isn't proving the idea works. It's scaling it, hardening it, and getting it cleared for the kind of contingency Iran represents. And that's the real shift happening in air power right now. For 70 years, the question was always which single aircraft could outfly, out-stealth, or outshoot the other guy's single aircraft. That question is starting to matter less. The real measure now is how many expendable aircraft one mothership can put into a contested sky at once, and how many of them it can bring home to do it again the next day. The skies over Iran, or any airspace built to kill American pilots, are about to get tested by machines with nobody sitting inside them. Across decades, the cargo plane was the invisible workhorse of American military power. Then the Air Force did something that nobody in any rival capital had fully anticipated. It turned those cargo planes into bombers, transforming the most common aircraft in the American fleet into one of the most dangerous strike platforms in the world. How does a system that fits on a standard cargo pallet turn a transport aircraft into a weapon capable of firing 45 cruise missiles in a single pass? And why does China's military consider this capability one of the more credible threats the United States has developed in years? Join us as we break down how America transformed giant cargo planes into missile bombers that are ready for battle. On December 16, 2021, a cargo aircraft took off over the Gulf of Mexico on what looked, to anyone watching, like a routine training flight. There was no fanfare, no press release issued in advance, no public announcement of what was about to happen. The aircraft was an MC-130J Commando II, a special operations variant of the same Hercules transport that has been hauling cargo for the United States military since the Eisenhower administration. It carried a pallet. The pallet carried a production JASSMER cruise missile with a live warhead locked inside a deployment box that had been loaded through the rear ramp like any other piece of cargo before the aircraft taxied out and took off. At the designated point over the water, the ramp opened, the pallet rolled out, a parachute snapped open and stabilized the box as it descended. The missile was released from its cell, fell nose down, unfolded its wings, ignited its engine, pulled up out of its dive, and flew toward a vessel target on the Eglin Air Force Base overwater test range. It found the target, detonated, and the ship was destroyed with the cargo aircraft nowhere in sight. That test proved something that changed the strategic calculus for every Air Force planner in the world who was paying attention. A transport aircraft, an aircraft with no weapons pylons, no bomb bay, no radar signature that distinguishes it from the thousands of other cargo flights operating in any given theater on any given day, had just conducted a precision cruise missile strike. The system that made it possible is called Rapid Dragon, and the implications of what it demonstrated that day over the Gulf of Mexico are still reverberating through defense ministries from Beijing to Moscow. The United States Air Force fields the most capable bomber force on Earth. The B-52 Stratofortress, in service since the 1950s and still flying with upgraded systems, can carry up to 20 air-launched cruise missiles combined from its wing pylons and bomb bay. The B-1B Lancer carries 24. The B-21 Raider, the newest bomber in the American inventory, is still in its early operational phase. These are extraordinarily powerful and also extraordinarily scarce. The entire American bomber fleet numbers roughly 141 aircraft across all three types. In a sustained high-intensity conflict against a peer adversary, the kind that defense planners are currently required to plan against, that number becomes a hard ceiling on how many standoff strike missions the Air Force can execute simultaneously. At the same time, the Air Force operates a vastly larger fleet of cargo aircraft, more than 228 C-17 Globemaster IIIs, more than 300 C-130 variants in active, guard, and reserve service combined. These aircraft fly every day to every theater, carrying every kind of cargo the American military depends on. They are ubiquitous in a way that bombers are not. They operate from shorter and less developed runways, from forward operating locations that a B-52 cannot reach, from airfields that an adversary's targeting planners would never think to add to their priority strike lists because nobody has historically treated a cargo terminal as a threat. Rapid Dragon changes that calculus entirely. The system is, at its physical core, a palletized munitions deployment box, a modular container built to fit on the same standard airdrop pallet that American cargo aircraft have been using to deliver equipment and supplies for 80 years. The deployment box holds cruise missiles in individual launch cells, arranged in configurations of 4, 6, or 9 rounds per pallet, designated simply as 4-pack, 6-pack, and 9-pack modules. The entire system is self-contained. The cargo aircraft requires no modification whatsoever to carry it. A standard loadmaster rolls it aboard, secures it to the cargo floor, and the aircraft takes off looking exactly like it would on any other mission, because in every practical sense, it is. The operational sequence is straightforward in concept and remarkable in execution. At the designated release point, the rear cargo ramp opens and the pallet is pushed out into the air at altitude. A parachute deploys immediately, stabilizing the deployment box as it descends. Once stable under canopy, the missiles are released sequentially from their cells in quick succession. Each missile falls nose down, unfolds its wings, ignites its engine, pulls up out of its descent, and begins powered flight toward its target. The entire sequence from pallet release to missiles in powered flight takes seconds. By the time it completes, the cargo aircraft has already left the area, carrying no weapons, leaving no signature of anything other than a routine transport mission. The missiles being deployed are variants of Lockheed Martin's AGM-158 Joint Air-to-Surface Standoff Missile family, the JASSM and its extended-range variant, the JASSMER. These are not improvised weapons adapted for an improvised system. They are the same precision cruise missiles carried by B-52 and B-1B bombers, the same missiles that the Air Force has spent decades integrating into its most capable strike aircraft. The JASSM-ER carries a 1,000-pound class penetrating warhead and is specifically designed for low observability. Its shaping and materials reduce its radar cross-section during flight, making it difficult for air defense systems to detect and engage on terminal approach. Its publicly stated range is at least 575 miles, and the JSS-XR variant entering production extends that reach to approximately 1,200 miles. A single target can be struck from distances that put the launch aircraft completely outside any realistic threat envelope. A single C-130 Hercules carrying 2 6-pack pallets can release 12 JASSM cruise missiles in one pass. A C-17 Globemaster III, with its substantially larger cargo bay, can carry 5 pallets for a total of 45 missiles, more than twice what a B-1B bomber carries, and more than 3 times what a B-52 can deliver in a single mission. The destructive potential loading into the back of what appears to be a standard transport flight is By any measure, extraordinary. What Rapid Dragon does to an adversary's targeting problem is fundamental. A conventional bomber is a known quantity. It operates from a small number of known major air bases. Its presence in a theater signals offensive intent. Its departure from a base can be monitored by satellites and radar. An adversary planning a preemptive strike against American strike capacity knows exactly where to look. The Air Force has publicly described distributed operations from austere forward locations as a priority precisely because concentrating aircraft at a small number of known major bases presents an inviting target for adversary precision strike campaigns in the opening hours of a conflict. A B-52 requires a 10,000-foot concrete runway to operate. A C-130 operates from 3,000-foot stretches of less developed surface. The number of potential operating locations for a C-130 is not dozens. There are hundreds scattered across every theater in which the United States and its allies operate. When any one of those locations could theoretically serve as a Rapid Dragon launch point, when the same aircraft that delivered fuel and spare parts to a forward base yesterday could return tomorrow with pallets of cruise missiles aboard and fly a strike mission before returning to logistics duties, the adversary's targeting planners face a problem that has no clean solution. Cargo aircraft are everywhere. The signature of a transport mission is indistinguishable from the signature of a strike mission until the ramp opens at altitude and the pallet rolls out. A Chinese analyst writing in a People's Liberation Army journal described Rapid Dragon as giving American forces a method to launch strikes from just outside a defensive perimeter while operating with aircraft that would be hard to track and difficult to distinguish from routine airlift activity, crediting the system with genuine cost-effectiveness compared to building additional dedicated bombers, and assessing that it would meaningfully increase the agility and suddenness of American distributed strike operations. General Mike Minihan, then leading Air Mobility Command, described the system's potential in terms that went well beyond cruise missiles. Palletized effects, he said, could include decoys to confuse adversary radar systems, electronic jamming systems to suppress air defenses, sensors to extend battlefield awareness, and search and rescue packages, in addition to the kinetic strike capability that the cruise missile demonstrations had already proven. The deployment box is a modular container. What goes inside it is a function of what the mission requires. Efforts are already underway to integrate JDAMER, precision-guided bombs, the ADM-160 miniature air-launched decoy, the long-range anti-ship missile variant of the JASSM family, and other munitions into future versions of the system. The concept that began with cruise missiles is expanding toward a general-purpose effects delivery architecture that can be reconfigured for entirely different mission types, depending on what is loaded at the base before departure. The Air Force's fiscal year 2026 budget reflects the seriousness of the investment. The service intends to purchase 389 JASSMs in 2026 at a cost of approximately $1 billion, alongside 118 long-range anti-ship missiles for an additional $431 million. The Air Force has also identified the per-unit cost of the existing JASSM line as a constraint on the volume it can field, and is actively pursuing lower-cost cruise missile alternatives specifically designed for mass employment through Rapid Dragon. A high-value JASSMER is the right weapon for a heavily defended, high-priority target. For scenarios requiring volume, saturating an adversary's air defense radar network with simultaneous incoming contacts, or generating the kind of mass fires that overwhelm a defensive system's engagement capacity, a cheaper missile that can be purchased in the thousands rather than the hundreds changes the operational calculus substantially. The current American bomber fleet could more than triple in effective strike capacity if the full cargo fleet were available for Rapid Dragon employment. Over 200 C-17s capable of carrying 45 missiles each. At full theoretical employment, that represents a strike capacity measured in the thousands of cruise missiles per wave, a volume of simultaneous fires that no existing air defense network anywhere in the world is designed to absorb. The cargo plane has spent 80 years carrying the things armies need to fight. It is now, in a very direct and tested sense, one of the things armies fight with. And in the mathematics of distributed operations, mass fires, in contested airspace that defines modern large-scale conflict. That shift matters considerably more than the unremarkable appearance of the aircraft delivering it. For decades, Army aviation has been trapped by a brutal reality. A helicopter strong enough to carry troops into battle is too slow to survive getting there. The Pentagon needed the impossible: vertical takeoff, airplane speed, and the ability to strike before radar could react. Then Bell built it. A machine that lifts like a helicopter, transforms mid-air, and outruns every rotorcraft alive. How does it work? And why is the Army rushing it into service? Join us as we reveal America's impossible helicopter plane hybrid, finally ready for war. The United States Army still fields the most powerful ground force on the planet, with more attack helicopters, more assault aircraft, and more air assault doctrine than any military in history. On paper, it sounds unstoppable. But modern warfare doesn't reward what looks unstoppable on paper. The uncomfortable truth is that the Black Hawk, the backbone of Army aviation since 1979, was designed for a different war. In a peer conflict over Taiwan, the distances involved are not measured in dozens of miles but in hundreds. A UH-60 Black Hawk carries its troops at 170 miles per hour with a combat radius of roughly 300 miles. In a Pacific theater where everything is far away, everything is contested, and everything is watched, that is simply not enough. And that gap is exactly where the problem begins. The Army began searching for a replacement in earnest under a program called the Future Long-Range Assault Aircraft, or FLRAA, with a single overriding requirement: deliver a brigade combat team 500 miles behind enemy lines in one period of darkness and leave them capable of sustained combat operations. That requirement quietly ruled out every conventional helicopter ever built. So Bell didn't try to improve the helicopter. They replaced the idea entirely. That is exactly the problem Bell helicopters set out to solve with the V-280 Valor, not with a new helicopter or a new airplane, but with something in between. A tiltrotor aircraft that takes off vertically like a helicopter, then rotates its massive rotors forward 90 degrees mid-flight, converting them into propellers and letting the wing carry the lift. This concept was first demonstrated by the Bell 15-3 in the 1950s. Then in the early 1980s, the more refined 15-15 proved it had real combat potential, pushing the Army, Navy, and Marine Corps to pool their requirements and produce the V-22 Osprey, the world's first production tiltrotor. But that breakthrough came at a cost. After 3 separate crash sequences that killed 30 Marines in the late 1990s and early 2000s, the program was grounded and triggered congressional investigations that nearly canceled it entirely. The Osprey survived. It achieved speeds above 315 miles per hour, ranges that made conventional helicopters look outdated, and eventually logged over 600,000 flight hours in real combat operations. Marines who flew it called it transformative. But transformation came with consequences. Its mechanical complexity, maintenance burden, and accident history cast a long shadow over every tiltrotor program that followed, and that is the shadow Bell had to escape. Everything changes with the V-280. Unlike the Osprey, where the entire engine nacelle rotates with the rotor, carrying the full complexity of a turboshaft power plant through a 90-degree arc under combat loads, the V-280 takes a different approach. Only the rotor shafts tilt. The engines stay fixed. The difference sounds small. It isn't, and the maintenance implications are enormous. Power is transmitted through a drive shaft running the length of a straight composite wing, and both rotors can be driven by a single engine if one fails, because the cross shaft connects them mechanically. The result is a dramatically simpler arrangement than the Osprey, one that pilots and maintainers from Black Hawk backgrounds can approach with familiar instincts rather than rebuilding everything from scratch. And then come the numbers. The performance figures the V-280 produced during its technology demonstrator phase were striking enough to define the aircraft itself. A cruising speed of 280 knots, 320 miles per hour, became its name. Its actual top speed reached 345 miles per hour. Its combat range extended to between 580 and 920 miles, depending on configuration, making it a different class of aircraft entirely. In December 2022, The Army awarded Bell the Engineering and Manufacturing Development Contract for FLRAA, worth approximately $1.3 billion, and in May 2025, the aircraft received its official military designation. It became the MV-75. M stands for multi-mission, V designates vertical takeoff and landing. The number 75 was not sequential. It was chosen deliberately to mark June 14, 1775, the date the Continental Congress formally established the Continental Army. The aircraft's wing is built from a single section of carbon fiber, reinforced polymer composite, eliminating dozens of fasteners and joints and cutting production costs by more than 30% compared to even a scaled-down Osprey wing. Two wide side doors allow 14 soldiers to exit rapidly, with door gunners having clear fields of fire even in forward flight. Triple redundant fly-by-wire controls and retractable landing gear complete the picture. The dual cargo hooks can carry a 10,000-pound M777 artillery howitzer at 170 miles per hour. Moving a howitzer by conventional helicopter meant flying slowly and predictably, an easy target. At MV-75 speeds, it becomes something else entirely. The tactical concept built around the MV-75 is called Large-Scale Long-Range Air Assault, or L2A2, and its central requirement captures what the Army is actually trying to accomplish: undetected, long-distance insertions. Bell has already released over 3,000 engineering drawings covering more than 90% of the aircraft's design to a supply base of over 360 vendors. Over 5,000 purchase orders have been placed. Construction of a new 450,000 square foot production facility in Fort Worth, Texas, backed by a $632 million investment, is already underway. This is no longer a prototype. Consider what this means for the first operational unit to receive the MV-75, the 101st Airborne Division at Fort Campbell, Kentucky. This is the unit that wrote the doctrine for how helicopter-borne infantry operates at scale. It is now the unit that will rewrite it. With the MV-75, a task force can lift off from a base 500 miles away, cruise at an altitude where shoulder-fired missiles cannot reach, arrive over the objective before enemy reinforcements can reposition, and land troops who have not spent hours cramped in a slow helicopter, fighting for a landing zone that was already defended. At that speed, time itself becomes a weapon. The attack variant, the AV-280, developed jointly with Lockheed Martin, adds missiles, precision munitions, and small drone launch capability without interference from the rotors, even in forward cruise. A combined force of MV-75s and AV-280 attack variants can conduct the assault and its own escort simultaneously. The price sits between $50 and $70 million per aircraft. That is meaningfully more expensive than a Black Hawk. But the Army's total requirement of 334 aircraft by 2040 reflects something important. There is also the survivability argument that pure speed creates. An aircraft moving at 320 miles per hour spends less time inside any given threat envelope than one moving at 170. Ground-based air defense systems are optimized around the speed profiles of the platforms they were designed to kill. The MV-75 does not fit those profiles, and that makes it dangerous in ways speed alone cannot explain. None of this means the MV-75 is without risk. The tiltrotor design still carries mechanical complexity that conventional helicopters do not. The vortex ring state condition that contributed to Osprey crashes, in which an aircraft's own downwash disrupts its rotors during steep descents, has been addressed through training and procedural changes, but has not been fully engineered away. But unlike the past, this aircraft is designed to evolve. Unlike the Osprey, which required expensive hardware revisions whenever the threat environment changed, the MV-75 uses an open modular architecture inspired by programs like the F-35. Sensors, communication systems, electronic warfare suites, and software can all be updated without redesigning the platform itself. Where the V-22 matured painfully in hardware, the MV-75 will mature in code. The MV-75 does not operate alone. It is the centerpiece of a broader transformation in Army aviation that also includes next-generation attack helicopters, autonomous logistics drones, and long-range fire platforms. A future air assault force could see MV-75s carrying the assault element, AV-280 strike variants providing organic fires, and autonomous resupply aircraft extending the operation's endurance without requiring a single additional landing zone. All of this matters because adversaries have spent decades learning to read American military patterns. They know how long it takes to stage a conventional helicopter assault. They know the speed, the altitude bands, and the typical approach corridors. The MV-75 breaks every one of those patterns. The first deliveries are targeted for the end of 2026, with the 101st Airborne standing by to put them into operation. The critical design review is locked for the third quarter of this year, and Bell has already committed over 5,000 purchase orders to suppliers across the country. The impossible helicopter-plane hybrid is becoming the standard. The fundamental insight that an aircraft combining vertical lift with airplane speed creates tactical possibilities that neither capability alone can match will remain valid regardless of how the technology evolves. The MV-75 is the first full expression of that idea at operational scale, but it won't be the last because this isn't just a faster helicopter. It's the moment the helicopter stops being enough. The United States just revealed a bomber so secret that even Congress does not know what it can do. And within weeks, Russia accelerated weapons programs. This is not a fighter jet. The B-21 Raider was built to enter airspace undetected and fly nuclear missions with just one pilot. Why are adversaries building defenses against a threat they cannot see, and what forced them to rethink decades of planning? Join us as we find out why the B-21 has Russia genuinely panicking. For decades, Russia and China constructed their air defense networks around one core assumption. They understood American bomber capabilities. Massive radar arrays blanketed contested regions. Surface-to-air missile batteries were positioned to intercept known flight profiles. Military strategists mapped scenarios based on the B-2 Spirit, a stealth bomber with limitations they'd studied exhaustively and believed they could counter. Then the B-21 was revealed, and that assumption was shattered. The geopolitical chessboard shifted. China rehearses military operations around Taiwan with alarming frequency. Russia demonstrated in Ukraine that modern warfare extends far beyond traditional battlefields into cyberspace and the electromagnetic spectrum. Coordinated autonomous systems now determine outcomes as decisively as bombs. America's existing bomber fleet, despite its raw power, was designed for a strategic environment that no longer exists. The B-2 Spirit costs over $150,000 per flight hour and requires 51 hours of maintenance for every hour airborne. It cannot be serviced outside specialized, climate-controlled facilities, which limits where and how often it can operate. Each mission demands months of preparation, coordination, and post-flight restoration, reducing flexibility during crises. Strategic deterrence only functions when adversaries believe a weapon will be used, and when a stealth bomber is too costly and fragile for sustained operations, its deterrent value becomes theoretical rather than operational. It serves like a conventional aircraft, using standard hangars and requiring hours instead of months. More critically, it was designed from inception to dominate an integrated battle space where cyber warfare, electronic attacks, drone swarms, and hypersonic missiles converge simultaneously. Here is what genuinely concerns Russian and Chinese military planners. This is not an experimental platform trapped in testing phases. 3 aircraft already exist, and production facilities are manufacturing 7 to 8 additional bombers each year, with a planned fleet of 100. This means operational squadrons will form while adversaries are still validating prototypes. By the time Russia fields the PAKDA and China introduces the H-20, dozens of B-21s will already be deployed, with crews logging thousands of flight hours, developing tactics, integrating new software, and identifying weaknesses long before opponents encounter the aircraft in conflict. Russia invested enormous resources in constructing air defenses optimized for known platforms, known signatures, and predictable mission profiles. Those systems were built on assumptions that no longer hold. As the B-21 enters service, entire layers of that defensive architecture risk becoming obsolete before reaching full operational maturity. Meanwhile, Chinese military planners face a similar dilemma. Their H-20 stealth bomber is still in development, with prototypes undergoing initial testing and no operational squadrons yet formed. China has devoted decades to refining defensive doctrines around anticipated American capabilities, but the B-21's operational pace undermines these preparations. By the time the H-20 becomes mission-ready, B-21 crews will have accumulated thousands of flight hours, integrated AI-assisted systems, and established operational concepts that effectively leapfrog China's planned deployment schedule, forcing a fundamental recalibration of Chinese air defense planning. But here's the part most analysts miss. How one aircraft platform creates this kind of disruption reveals something far more significant than stealth technology alone. According to a leaked Air Force Global Strike Command memo, the B-21 Raider will fly 40-hour globe-spanning nuclear strike missions with just one human pilot on board. Not two pilots like every heavy bomber in American history. One pilot and one weapons systems officer. This single detail reveals the most significant shift in air warfare since stealth itself. Advanced AI autonomy has arrived in strategic aviation. Every current bomber requires multiple pilots because the cognitive load is immense. The B-52, B-1B Lancer, and even the B-2 Spirit operate with paired pilots and weapons officers. During marathon missions, they meticulously schedule every task, managing sleep and shifts to ensure alertness for weapons engagement and the complex, dangerous mid-flight refuelings that occur every few hours. Retired Air Force Colonel Mel Dell, who flew a record 44.3-hour B-2 mission, described the brutal reality: constantly reviewing target folders, monitoring fuel consumption, replanning routes when coordinates change mid-flight, which happens regularly, all while fighting fatigue so extreme that flight surgeons issue amphetamine, go pills just to keep pilots functional. The single pilot configuration reveals the B-21's true revolution. The pilot's role fundamentally shifts from actively flying the aircraft to supervising an artificial intelligence system that handles flight operations. But this isn't autopilot. Commercial autopilot executes pre-programmed directives. When circumstances change, humans must intervene manually. The B-21's AI operates on a completely different level. It processes data from the same sensor arrays human operators use, but responds faster and never experiences fatigue. When surface-to-air missile radar locks onto the bomber, the AI deploys radio frequency countermeasures and executes evasive maneuvers, potentially faster than human reaction time allows. When new battlefield threats emerge that weren't present during mission planning, the AI rapidly calculates optimal routes through contested airspace, automatically adjusting course while notifying the pilot. The AI handles routine operations and many complex tasks as effectively as human operators, allowing the pilot to serve primarily as mission supervisor. During extended missions, the human pilot can rest between refuelings while the AI manages flight operations. Strategic analysts understand what this means. America has operationally implemented jury AI-assisted combat aviation while adversaries are still building traditional crewed platforms. That is a generational technological leap that compounds over time as AI systems learn and improve. But even sophisticated AI can't help if enemy radar detects you. So how does a 40-meter wide aircraft achieve a radar cross-section the size of a tennis ball? Making a 40-meter wide aircraft appear the size of a tennis ball on radar screens isn't marketing exaggeration. It's the B-21's reported radar cross-section. And understanding why this matters requires grasping what stealth means in modern warfare. Every millimeter of this aircraft's surface matters. One imperfect seam, one slight edge, and stealth effectiveness degrades. Russian and Chinese air defense networks were designed to detect large metal structures with engines, wings, and distinct radar returns. The B-21 was engineered to betray none of those signatures. The bomber is covered in a specialized coating that absorbs radar waves rather than reflecting them. But this represents just the foundation of a multi-layered signature reduction system. The cockpit windows blend seamlessly into the airframe with minimal edges for radar to catch. Every joint, every seam, every crevice that could compromise the radar cross-section has been eliminated from external view. Onboard electronics don't just reduce radar signature, they can actively deceive enemy systems, making hostile radar see something that isn't there, or more accurately, see almost nothing worth investigating. The engines reveal engineering obsession. They're recessed deep into the wings, completely hidden from direct observation and angled to minimize thermal signatures. The narrow exhaust design represents a massive improvement over the B-2's configuration that created detectable heat signatures. The B-21's engines reach Mach 0.8, not supersonic, because when signature management is this effective, you don't need to outrun missiles. Speed creates noise and heat. Stealth creates operational advantage. Here's where physics becomes weaponized. Every curve on this aircraft is continuous. Every angle mirrors itself throughout the structure. When radar waves hit flat surfaces, they bounce directly back to the emitter, creating obvious radar returns. But curved surfaces scatter those waves in multiple directions simultaneously, fragmenting the radar return into background noise that operators dismiss as atmospheric interference. The construction process itself reveals the obsession. Unlike any aircraft in history, the B-21 is built from the outside in, completely backwards from normal assembly. Traditional aircraft are built from the inside out. Why reverse this proven method? Because radar detects surface imperfections, the smooth outer surface must be perfected before internal components are installed. On the B-2, maintenance crews had to hand remove exterior coating to access wiring beneath over 100 panels, a process taking months in climate-controlled facilities. The B-21 has simple maintenance doors, allowing service work in normal hangars over hours. This seemingly minor detail has massive operational implications. You can actually use the bomber regularly instead of treating it like a museum piece. But signature reduction alone isn't what terrifies Russian strategists. What truly concerns them is how this platform adapts to threats that don't even exist yet. Every previous stealth bomber became outdated the moment it entered service. New threats emerged, technology advanced, and multi-billion-dollar aircraft became frozen in time. Upgrading meant years of retrofitting and astronomical costs. The B-21 shatters this paradigm with one revolutionary concept: open architecture software that turns a bomber into an infinitely adaptable weapons platform. Think of your smartphone. You don't buy a new device for different capabilities. You download apps. The B-21 applies this exact logic to weapon systems and mission profiles. Need to share real-time location data with satellites? Software integration? Want to run a new electronic warfare program? Download and deploy it. The bomber can be reconfigured for entirely different missions between sorties. Engineers can develop specialized reconnaissance systems, test them, deploy them on a mission, then seamlessly replace them with combat-focused configurations the next day. No hardware replacement required, no months of retrofitting, pure adaptability. This represents warfare reimagined. Russian military planners build defenses against known capabilities, specific sensors, particular weapon systems, and understood tactics. But how do you defend against a platform that fundamentally changes what it can do between missions? Today's reconnaissance aircraft becomes tomorrow's electronic warfare platform, which becomes next week's drone command center, all using the same airframe. The B-21 was designed as one component in a family of systems, integrating with joint all-domain command and control, connecting every sensor across the U.S. military for instant information sharing. Satellites, drones, submarines, tanks, ships, and bombers share information simultaneously, functioning like interconnected nodes of a single distributed intelligence, spanning all domains. Future operational concepts envision the B-21 flying alongside autonomous drone wingmen that guide, share targeting data, and act as decoys to distract enemy radar. But the bomber isn't just dropping ordnance. It serves as an airborne command center, issuing real-time orders to drones, directing formations, coordinating with naval assets, all while maintaining its primary strike capability. Consider the scenario keeping Chinese military planners awake. China begins operations against Taiwan. Within minutes, a B-21 launches from a Pacific base. It arrives coordinating drone swarms, accessing communication networks to locate high-value targets, directing precision strikes without ever entering hostile airspace itself. The bomber carries long-range weapons with standoff capability and an 11,000-kilometer unrefueled range. Virtually no location on Earth remains beyond reach. Here's what truly matters. The brilliance isn't being the newest technology. It's perpetually adapting to what's new. Open architecture means continuous capability enhancement. Revolutionary sensors developed in 5 years? Integrate them seamlessly. Next-generation electronic warfare capabilities? Download and deploy. Advanced AI algorithms? Update the software. Whatever technological breakthroughs emerge over the next 3 decades, this platform absorbs them without requiring new aircraft. Russia's PAKDA and China's H-20 are being designed for today's battlefield using today's technology. The B-21 is being designed for battlefields that haven't been imagined yet, but software means nothing if you can't manufacture the actual aircraft at scale. And here's where the production numbers should genuinely concern adversaries. Welcome to Plant 42, Northrop Grumman's partially classified facility in Palmdale, California, where 8,000 workers are manufacturing America's stealth bomber fleet at a pace that fundamentally changes strategic calculations. Current intelligence suggests they're delivering 7 to 8 aircraft annually, and that production tempo is accelerating. To understand why this matters, consider the catastrophic B-2 procurement failure. Original plans called for 132 aircraft at $500 million each. What did America actually receive? 21 planes costing $2 billion apiece. The Cold War's end triggered military budget cuts, and the most advanced bomber fleet in history died stillborn. Too few aircraft, too expensive to operate, too maintenance-intensive to deploy regularly. The Air Force explicitly demanded cost discipline for B-21 development. Each aircraft costs approximately $700 million. Classified items mean actual costs run higher, but nowhere near B-2 levels. More critically, this bomber services in standard hangars for hours instead of months, enabling sustained operations rather than occasional symbolic missions. The manufacturing revolution enabling this pace is driven by augmented reality and digital twin technology. Engineers don't just build physical aircraft. They work with perfect digital replicas, testing newly developed systems in virtual environments before anything reaches the production line. Design flaws discovered in digital twins get fixed with software changes rather than million-dollar physical retrofits. This digital thread shares across all of Northrop's partners as they develop complementary systems, ensuring seamless integration before the first component is manufactured. Want to test a radical new sensor configuration? Run it in simulation. Does it work? Build it. Does it fail? Delete it and iterate. Zero wasted materials, minimal risk. The strategic implications are profound. Russia and China are developing stealth bombers, singular experimental platforms that might enter limited service in the 2030s if development proceeds perfectly. America is manufacturing B-21s at scale right now, building institutional knowledge, refining production processes, and preparing operational squadrons while adversaries are still testing prototypes. 3 B-21s currently exist. By the time Russia's PAKDA or China's H-20 reach initial operational capability, dozens more Raiders will be operational with crews who've accumulated thousands of flight hours. By the time those foreign platforms achieve full operational status, American squadrons will have refined tactics, integrated new capabilities through software updates, and developed operational concepts adversaries won't understand until experiencing them in conflict. The planned fleet of 100 Raiders will retire 45 B-1Bs and 20 B-2s, potentially even phasing out the B-52 that's been flying for over 70 years. It is a complete reconceptualization of strategic bombing built around sustained operations rather than occasional deployment of precious, irreplaceable assets. Every aircraft rolling out of Plant 42 represents a node in a networked warfare ecosystem. Each can share data with every platform, coordinate with autonomous drones, and update software to match evolving threats. Russia isn't facing one new bomber. They're facing a self-improving fleet that becomes more capable with every software update, every sensor integration, every tactical lesson learned. So we have a low observable bomber with AI-assisted operations that adapts to future threats and is being mass-produced right now. But what does this actually mean when tensions escalate? The B-21 Raider has exactly one mission, stated with brutal clarity: prevail in great power conflict against Russia or China, not counter-terrorism, not regional operations. Total war against near-peer adversaries with sophisticated air defenses, advanced fighters, and their own stealth programs. Strategic analysts understand this aircraft represents something beyond incremental advancement. It's a platform that fundamentally alters how great powers calculate risk. Strategic bombing evolved over a century from German Zeppelins over London in World War I to America's current fleet. The B-52 Stratofortress, with its massive 70,000-pound payload, the supersonic B-1B Lancer using speed to evade defenses, and the B-2 Spirit designed to penetrate hostile airspace through stealth. All three were designed for different eras with different assumptions. The B-21 was designed for an integrated battle space where cyber warfare, electronic attacks, hypersonic missiles, and autonomous drone swarms converged simultaneously. A battlefield that barely existed when those older aircraft entered service. The flying wing design maximizes lift while minimizing drag, requiring less power and extending both range and loiter time. With an 11,000-kilometer range without refueling, there's literally nowhere on Earth beyond reach. Combine that range with long-range weapons, and the bomber doesn't need proximity to targets. The psychological calculus shifts entirely. Adversaries cannot reliably track where the B-21 is, cannot track it when nearby, and face severe challenges preventing mission completion. Now layer in the capabilities already discussed, and the platform's true purpose becomes clear. The AI co-pilot enables sustained 40-hour missions with a single human on board, not by reducing workload, but by absorbing entire categories of decision-making, navigation, threat avoidance, sensor fusion, and real-time route optimization, allowing the pilot to function as a mission commander rather than an operator. Open architecture software means the aircraft is never locked into a single role. Mission packages can be rewritten between sorties, transforming the bomber from a strike platform into an intelligence node, an electronic warfare asset, or a command relay without structural modification. Integrated with satellite networks and autonomous drone wingmen, the B-21 operates as the airborne nerve center of a distributed force, directing unmanned systems, sharing targeting data across domains, and shaping the battle space before weapons are released. Its electronic warfare suite does not simply evade defenses, it actively degrades, misleads, and fragments adversary sensor networks, collapsing their ability to see the fight as a coherent whole. If conflict erupts, the B-21 leads without being near the fight. It coordinates drone swarms, directs naval assets, shares targeting data with ground forces, all while maintaining the option to engage targets from standoff ranges. Joint all-domain command and control means information flows instantaneously. What one sensor detects, every platform knows simultaneously. Consider force structure implications. 100 B-21 Raiders, replacing 45 B-1Bs, 20 B-2s, and potentially the entire B-52 fleet. Some might consider it a replacement, but it's a reconceptualization of strategic bombing doctrine. Older platforms could barely afford to fly due to operational costs. The B-21 is designed for regular, sustained operations, making deterrence credible rather than theoretical. Russia's PAKDA and China's H-20 are responses to American air dominance, attempts to match capabilities that debuted decades ago with the B-2. But they're building bombers while America built a warfare ecosystem. Even if adversaries successfully field stealth platforms, they're entering a game where the rules fundamentally changed. The geopolitical message is unmistakable. America remains multiple generations ahead in strategic warfare technology. While adversaries struggle to field experimental prototypes, the U.S. manufactures at scale, refines operational concepts, and prepares for conflicts that haven't been conceived yet. 3 B-21 Raiders exist today. Production accelerates. By the time foreign programs reach operational status, American crews will have accumulated experience that adversaries won't match for years. And the real test of the B-21 won't be when it flies, but when adversaries realize they can't reliably defend against it. With tensions between China and the United States growing more intense, America's allies, especially Japan, have been left with no choice but to find ways to defend themselves against future threats. Japan has gone the extra mile, developing aircraft unlike anything ever seen in aerial warfare. Armed with technology so advanced that even European nations are eager to collaborate, Japan is finally stepping up to claim its place among the world's military powers. Could this be the beginning of Japan's military resurgence? What can this next-generation fighter truly do? Join us as we reveal the groundbreaking details of the new bombers Japan has just added to its arsenal. After the Second World War, Japan became very cautious about rebuilding its military, especially its air force, which now appears outdated compared to that of other countries. The memories of Hiroshima and Nagasaki still remind everyone of how terrible war can be. Japan's new constitution, drafted with the help of the United States after the war, took a firm stand against war. In Article 9, Japan relinquished its right to wage war or maintain military forces for aggression, limiting its forces to self-defense purposes only. Japan also made a deal with the United States for protection. American troops, including air forces, stayed in Japan to defend the country. This allowed Japan to rebuild its cities, businesses, and industries without undue concern for war. But as time went on, growing problems with China and fears about North Korea's missiles made Japan change its thinking. China's rapid rise in both economic and military strength began to appear more unfriendly toward Japan. Because Japan supported Taiwan and worked closely with the United States, China hit back with trade bans and boycotts. Behind the scenes, China also used cyber attacks and spying. They broke into Japan's government and business systems, attempting to steal sensitive secrets related to defense and technology. China sent more ships and planes close to Japan's borders. They started doing regular live-fire drills and even launched ballistic missiles near Taiwan, one of Japan's close partners. With danger rising, Japan recognized the need to enhance its air force, rather than relying solely on others, especially since China and Russia are now introducing more advanced fighter jets. In a big move, Japan's leaders have recently agreed on new rules that would enable the country to respond more effectively to threats. Former Prime Minister Fumio Kishida stated that, with missiles becoming faster and more deadly around the world, Japan must strengthen its defense to deter future attacks. This decision also followed the United States' urging of Japan to assume a greater role in containing China's expanding military. This new plan will increase its defense budget to 2% of its economy by 2027, doubling the amount it currently spends. With more money, Japan will buy advanced weapons from the United States like Tomahawk missiles and work on building its top-level fighter jets, super-fast missiles, and armed drones. Initially, Japan sought to acquire the Lockheed Martin F-22 Raptor. However, the United States refused to sell the jet to any other country, thereby keeping its technology safe and leaving Japan at a disadvantage. So Japan made a bold choice to design and build its sixth-generation fighter jet. It's a challenging project, but if they succeed, Japan could end up producing one of the world's best warplanes and become a major player in the arms market. Between 2009 and 2010, Japan's Ministry of Defense took a deep look into fighter jet technology. From this work came the idea of the I-3 fighter, which stands for Informed, Intelligent, and Instantaneous. This jet was designed to be a stealth fighter capable of detecting and engaging other stealthy planes. It would come equipped with a powerful radar system, smart sensors, and the capability to communicate with external drones and sensor stations during battles. All these features were meant to give Japan a big advantage in controlling the skies around its region. The I-3 fighter could also carry new types of weapons, such as laser guns, known as light-speed weapons, that could instantly destroy incoming threats. As expected, China responded to Japan's plan with harsh words, accusing Japan of fabricating the China threat as a pretext for building more weapons. However, Japan is pushing forward, determined to rely more on itself and defend its territory. To turn their ideas into reality, Japan created a test plane called the Mitsubishi X2 Shinshin. The X2 was designed with a look similar to that of modern fifth-generation fighters, such as the Lockheed F-22 Raptor. Its size was comparable to that of the Swedish Saab JAS 39 Gripen. Measuring approximately 14 meters in length with a wingspan of 9 meters, it weighed almost 13 tons and was equipped with strong turbojet engines featuring 3D thrust control, which provided it with remarkable agility and the ability to fly at supersonic speeds. One of the most notable features of the X-2 was its fly-by-optics system. Instead of using traditional cables, it utilizes optical fibers, which enable faster data sharing and better noise handling. Its radar, called the multifunction RF sensor, was built with an active electronically scanned array, known as AESA technology, allowing it to switch across different signals for jamming, communication, and possibly even using microwave weapons. Another notable feature was its self-repairing flight control system. If the plane's flight surfaces got damaged, it could detect the problem and adjust by using the parts that still worked, keeping the jet flying safely. For its test flights, the X-2 used two XF-5 engines. The work was led by Japan's Acquisition Technology and Logistics Agency. They made a small demo plane called the Advanced Technology Demonstrator, or ATDX for short, which flew 34 missions in 2016 and 2017. ATLA also ran 14 other programs focused on building the key components needed for a real stealth fighter, such as improved sensors, faster data links, and concealed weapon bays. The prototype was a big success. Many of the new systems tested on it will likely be used in Japan's future sixth-generation fighter jet. The twin-engine plane had a sleek and smooth shape, standing about 4.51 meters tall. Its cropped delta wings and special extensions allowed it to keep flying safely even at high angles. Two vertical fins at the rear helped improve both its flight capabilities and stealth. It was piloted by a single pilot and featured a retractable tricycle landing gear setup, smooth control surfaces, and two rectangular air intakes positioned adjacent to the cockpit. The special S-duct design also made its airflow smoother and more conducive to speed. After the success of the X-2 project, Japan's Ministry of Defense started working on the Mitsubishi FX in 2020. This new twin-engine stealth fighter is designed for air battles and is planned to be even larger than the F-22, which has earned it the nickname Godzilla. Its large size would give it a longer flight range and the ability to carry a greater number of weapons. It is also designed to have a robust network system and carry more missiles than the F-35. Engineers experimented with various exterior designs using 3D models and specialized computer programs. The primary goals were to make it extremely fast, highly agile, and exceptionally stealthy. To make it lighter and more flexible, the FX would ditch hydraulic systems and utilize electronic components instead. It would also use strong glue molds instead of regular bolts and screws. Two XF-9 engines would power the plane, providing it with more than 20 tons of thrust. These engines would have special 3D thrust nozzles to help them turn more quickly and remain hidden. For its weapons and defense, the FX would feature an advanced mix of sensors to track and engage stealthy enemy planes. It would carry an active electronically scanned radar, a passive radio wave sensor, and an infrared camera. All of these would utilize gallium nitride technology to better detect targets that are normally difficult to see. The new jet would also feature a sophisticated radio system that could jam enemy signals worldwide, enabling it to intercept and counter incoming missiles. Pilots would receive a high-tech helmet equipped with a wide field of view, dual-eye displays, colorful screens, voice control, and 3D sound. The FX's stealth features would include twisted air ducts, hidden weapon bays, materials that absorb radar waves, and new metamaterials to make it even harder to detect. A plasma stealth system would generate short plasma bursts to deflect radar waves, thereby further protecting the plane. Beyond conventional armaments, the FX will be armed with a microwave cannon to disrupt incoming missiles. It will also have the ability to deploy combat support unmanned aircraft drones, serving as loyal wingmen to the fighter. These drones will aid in target identification, munition deployment, and the deflection of incoming missiles. If the FX Godzilla lives up to even a fraction of its potential, it could provide the Japanese armed forces with a formidable warplane surpassing anything in today's skies. Furthermore, it has the potential to propel Japan into the global weapons development market, solidifying its position as a military manufacturing powerhouse. Another important job for the FX Godzilla is to replace Japan's current F-2 fighter jets during the 2030s. It's clear that Japan also draws some ideas from the US regarding the FX's design and functionality. Japan even bought some F-35s to use alongside the FX once it is ready. In 2022, rumors started flying that Japan and the UK might join forces by merging Japan's FX project with the UK's Tempest fighter program. By December 2022, the partnership was officially announced, and Italy joined the team as well. Initially, the UK sought to collaborate with France and Germany through a program called the Future Combat Air System. However, after numerous arguments and delays, the UK ultimately decided to collaborate with Japan and Italy instead. This new collaboration is a significant win for both parties. Japan secures strong partners who can help it sell military planes overseas, an area where it lacks substantial experience and expertise. The UK gets serious partners without the problems it faced before. Together, they aim to develop a powerful sixth-generation stealth fighter that could revolutionize the future of air combat. Big companies were given key tasks. Mitsubishi Heavy Industries from Japan and BAE Systems from the UK are leading the project. BAE is also working on the main body of the jet. Japan's IHI Corporation and Rolls-Royce are building the engines. Italy's Leonardo is responsible for the electronics, while MBDA UK handles the missile systems. After Japan and Britain teamed up, they also began working together on radar systems through a project called Jaguar, an acronym for Japan and Great Britain's Universal Advanced Radar Frequency System. The new fighter will be about 30% bigger than the Eurofighter Typhoon. Its weight without fuel will be close to that of the American F-15 Eagle. The plane will have a sharp delta wing with a 50-degree sweep. The wingspan will be around 54 feet, and the total wing area will be about 12,200 square feet, almost the same as the wing size of an Airbus A320. A model of the new fighter was first shown at the Farnborough Air Show in 2024. It features a trimmed delta wing, which enables it to fly faster, travel farther, and carry more weapons and fuel. However, it may not be as adept at quick turns and sharp maneuvers as Japan's original FX design. British aviation journalist Gareth Jennings pointed out that the GSAP's broad wings look a lot like those of the old American F-111 Aardvark bomber. The F-111 used to fly low to stay hidden from radar, but the GSAP will mainly depend on stealth and long-range missiles to remain safe. This plan is similar to the FB-22, a bomber version of the F-22 Raptor that never entered service. Unlike the FB-22, which was built solely for support, the GCAP is designed to engage other planes and strike ground targets. All three countries working on the GSAP already use F-35B stealth fighters, except the UK, which also flies the F-35A. However, they still sought a jet that could carry more weapons than the F-35 and could be sold to other countries without the stringent restrictions associated with the American F-22 Raptor. Japan also plans to fit the GSAP with its high-tech missile systems. These will include the MBDA Meteor, the Spear 3, and the ASM-3, which is a Japanese anti-ship missile. Japan and Britain are also collaborating to develop a new medium-range air-to-air missile, known as the Joint New Air-to-Air Missile. Rumor has it that the JN-8M will feature a radar system manufactured by Japan at the front and a Meteor ramjet engine from Britain at the rear. Still, it may be slower than the Meteor, which can travel at over Mach 4. The JN-8M's top speed is expected to be around Mach 3.5. As for the schedule, the first flight of a Tempest concept demonstrator, a prototype built to test new technology, is planned for 2027. According to the UK Ministry of Defence's Director for Future Combat Air, this test plane will give a strong idea of what the final GEAP fighter will look like. Work on the joint engine demonstrator began in 2024, with the UK investing an initial £30 million in planning, digital design, and innovative construction methods. An additional £200 million from the UK will be allocated toward building a full-size engine for testing. This work will also create many skilled jobs, including at Rolls-Royce's Filton site in Bristol. The first flight of the Tempest is expected to happen in 2035. It will eventually replace the Eurofighter Typhoon in Italy and the UK, as well as the Saab Gripen in Sweden. During its production, they plan to use 3D printing to make parts. Leonardo is also building a new type of radar system for the Tempest. Instead of using a single large radar, this new system will utilize numerous small antennas and mini receivers to collect vast amounts of information from both the sky and the ground. Like other sixth-generation jets, the Tempest is likely to utilize artificial intelligence to control drones, building upon the concept of the loyal wingman. The cockpit will feature augmented reality, making the plane even more advanced. Fast progress and teamwork between countries will be crucial if the Tempest hopes to keep pace with China and Russia, who are also developing powerful new jets. Still, not everyone is pleased about Japan's more ambitious military plans. Kyoji Yanagasawa, a former defense leader, is one of the few who have spoken out. He says that having more potent weapons will not scare away enemies. Instead, he thinks Japan should focus more on talking and making peace to avoid wars. Yanagasawa worries that if Japan builds up its army too much, it could cause more trouble than it solves. He believes that growing the military might deter neighboring countries and make Japan a more attractive target. His view focuses on the difficult choice Japan faces: how to maintain safety without exacerbating tensions with its neighbors. Many experts believe Japan's push to enhance its military capabilities stems from a rapidly changing world. With China growing stronger and North Korea building up its nuclear weapons, Japan feels it might be left exposed. There are also concerns that the United States, Japan's largest ally, may not always be able to fully protect it, especially if problems erupt in different parts of the world simultaneously. The debate over Japan's new defense plans shows the complex situation the country faces as it seeks to strike a balance between peace and security. While many people agree that Japan should be able to defend itself more effectively, others are concerned about potential future developments. If Japan overextends its military, will it truly make the country safer, or will it merely add more tension to East Asia? Yasuo Hasebi, a constitutional law expert at Waseda University, mentioned how hard it is to know if a strike is truly preemptive until after it happens. He also argued that the government could claim that simply possessing these weapons for defense, even if they are never used, still aligns with Japan's peace-focused constitution. Although the law isn't clear on the matter, the government firmly insists that its plan is legal. Hasebi noted that because the government claims it is allowed, questioning it becomes very difficult. Surprisingly, there has been little resistance from Japan's public, media, courts, or opposition parties regarding whether this new military path aligns with the Constitution. The government has also not clearly explained how its actions comply with the law. From the U.S. perspective, Japan's growing military presence can be viewed in two ways. Zach Cooper, a senior fellow at the American Enterprise Institute, notes that Japan is bolstering its weapons and defenses, which the U.S. already supplies through its alliance with Japan. He believes part of the reason is Japan's fear that America might not always be a steady partner. That fear partly comes from the time when President Donald Trump questioned the value of old alliances. Japan's plan also shows that it learned from Ukraine's fight against Russia. Experts believe that when a country demonstrates its commitment to self-defense, its allies are more likely to step in and provide assistance. Japan hopes that by demonstrating its ability to stand up for itself, it will receive even more substantial support, especially from the United States. The U.S. has revealed a new nuclear bomber built to outmatch the defenses of its rivals. For over 70 years, the B-52 served as a symbol of American air power, known for its massive payload capacity of up to 70,000 pounds and versatility in missions ranging from strategic bombing to maritime patrol. Yet this new bomber is more than a successor. It's a revolutionary force. Built with advanced stealth technology, unmatched range, and the power to deliver next-generation weapons, it raises the question: can this bomber truly evade the most advanced air defense systems of its rivals? Could its introduction provoke an intense arms race, pushing global powers to accelerate their military strategies? Join us as we explore the next-generation features of the U.S. Air Force's brand new nuclear bomber. For years, the mighty B-52 nuclear bomber represented American strength, carrying huge bombs and handling tough missions. But as other countries sharpened their defenses, it became clear that the United States needed something even more powerful. And that was how the B-21 Raider was born. As the U.S. Air Force's newest and most advanced nuclear stealth bomber, it is equipped with the impressive capabilities to sneak past advanced radars, launch cyber attacks, and strike targets from far away with precision. Recently, the first in-flight photos of the B-21 were released, showing the aircraft soaring through the skies over Edwards Air Force Base in California. This was an exciting moment as it confirmed that the B-21 had officially begun its flight tests. According to Andrew Hunter, Assistant Secretary of the Air Force for Acquisition, the tests are going well. He explained that these tests are helping the Air Force learn more about the aircraft's unique abilities. The B-21 Raider, named after the Doolittle raid of 1942, is not just any bomber, it's designed with futuristic features. This bomber can carry both nuclear and conventional weapons, making it more advanced than any other bomber currently in use. Its sleek design and advanced stealth technology allow it to evade enemy radar, giving it a big advantage in high-threat environments. This means it can reach deep into enemy territory without being easily detected. Details about the B-21 Raider are mostly top secret. Information like its size, speed, engine type, and the weapons it can carry remain hidden. Even its onboard sensors and the technology that helps it stay undetected are not fully known. However, it's clear that the B-21 has advanced stealth abilities. It has been designed to hide from radar with smooth edges and special cockpit windows that minimize seams and joints. These features help the aircraft stay hidden from enemy detection. It's also known that the B-21 can carry nuclear weapons, making it a powerful tool for the U.S. military. The B-21 is expected to be the first sixth-generation warplane in the world. Back in 2010, its price was estimated at around $550 million per unit, but after adjusting for inflation, it is now closer to $750 million per plane. While this is a hefty price, it's still cheaper than the older B-2 bomber, which cost $2 billion each. The lower cost is due to new radar-absorbing materials that reduce maintenance needs, as well as more efficient and affordable aerospace technology developed over the past 30 years. Plus, the Air Force plans to build 100 B-21s, far more than the 20 B-2s that were made, helping to reduce costs. Despite the B-21's advanced features, its exact costs are still kept secret, even from some members of Congress. This high level of secrecy has led to criticism from lawmakers, including the late Senator John McCain, who worried that defense contractors like Northrop Grumman might overcharge the government. There are concerns about whether the project's secrecy is necessary or if it hides potential cost issues. In fact, the B-21 Raider is one of the most secretive aircraft ever built, and there's a good reason for that. In 2009, the Joint Strike Fighter program, which created the F-35, faced a major security breach. Hackers believed to be Chinese agents accessed sensitive data. Just a few years later, in 2012, China showed off its J-31 fighter jet, which looked suspiciously similar to the F-35. Many experts think the Chinese used stolen F-35 designs to help build their jet. To avoid a similar mistake, the U.S. is keeping the B-21's details tightly under wraps. But regardless of the secrecy surrounding this bomber, its capabilities are impressive. It can hit targets deep inside enemy territory that were once thought impossible to reach. On top of that, it can act as a SIGINT platform, gathering intelligence from high altitudes over long distances. Some experts believe it could also take on airborne early warning and control missions, like what the Boeing E-3 does now, but with much better survival chances. Another impressive feature of the B-21 is its range. It can travel long distances without needing to refuel, making it capable of reaching far-off targets. This extended range is crucial, especially if missions need to be carried out quickly and from a distance. The B-21 Raider is also cost-effective compared to past bombers. While the exact price is classified, the U.S. Air Force has worked to keep its costs under control. This careful budgeting means that the military can build a large fleet without overspending. The design of the B-21 is focused on future needs. It can be upgraded easily with new technology, ensuring it stays advanced for decades to come. The military calls this a digital bomber because of its advanced computer systems and ability to update as technology improves. The B-21 Raider's role is not just about fighting wars, it's also about deterrence. By having a strong and advanced bomber fleet, the U.S. aims to prevent conflicts by showing strength. Knowing that the U.S. has a powerful tool like the B-21 may discourage potential enemies from causing trouble. Also, the B-21 isn't just a lone wolf. In battle, it can work closely with other advanced planes, like the F-35. Its advanced guidance systems can direct weapons launched by F-35s to their targets. This teamwork makes the B-21 a key player in network-centric warfare, a strategy where different military assets share information in real time to outsmart opponents. One of the most groundbreaking features of the B-21 is that it can be flown by a pilot or controlled remotely. If a mission is too dangerous, the United States Air Force can operate the B-21 without risking a pilot's life. This level of flexibility is unmatched by any other bomber in the world. Other countries are paying close attention to the B-21's development, especially China. Chinese researchers claim their hypersonic missiles, which can reach speeds of Mach 6, could take down a B-21 during a conflict. However, the B-21's stealth abilities are designed to make it nearly impossible to lock onto, even for advanced missiles. With the B-21's impressive capabilities, questions are surfacing about the B-52's future. Will it be retired alongside the B-1 and B-2, or could it find a new role within the U.S. Air Force? To answer this question, think of the B-52 as a big delivery truck and the B-21 as a stealthy aircraft. The B-52 can't sneak into heavily defended areas, but it can carry a lot of missiles and fire them from a safe distance. On the other hand, the B-21 is built for sneaking past enemy defenses and hitting targets directly. Looking back, the B-52 Superfortress has a long and storied history. Its development began in the 1940s, and the bomber first took to the skies in 1952 before officially entering service in 1955. Not long after the B-52 joined the Air Force, plans for a replacement began. The North American XB-70 Valkyrie project was launched in the late 1950s, with its first flight taking place in 1964. The Valkyrie was a marvel of its time, designed to fly at incredible speeds and altitudes. However, the project faced several challenges. Only 2 prototypes were ever built before the program was canceled. The high cost of production, combined with the development of advanced Soviet air defense systems, made the XB-70 less practical than initially expected. Around the same period, the Air Force tested another high-speed bomber, the Convair B-58 Hustler. The B-58 was the first operational bomber capable of reaching Mach 2, or twice the speed of sound. It seemed like a promising replacement for the B-52 with its sleek, futuristic design and impressive speed. However, it quickly proved to be a difficult and costly aircraft to maintain. The B-58 suffered from frequent accidents, had a high operational cost, and required a lot of aerial refueling, making it less efficient for long missions. Because of these issues, it was retired after just a decade of service. The search for a suitable replacement for the B-52 continued. The Rockwell B-1 Lancer was introduced as a blend of the B-58's speed and the B-52's long range and heavy payload. Unlike the previous attempts, the B-1 partially succeeded in taking on some of the B-52's duties. Its variable sweep wings allowed it to adjust its shape for better performance at different speeds, making it a versatile bomber. Despite its capabilities, only 104 B-1s were built. As the B-21 Raider prepares to enter service, the B-1 is expected to be the first bomber to be retired, a sign of how quickly military technology continues to evolve. Interestingly, the B-52 first flew 71 years before the B-21 Raider and just 49 years after the Wright Flyer, the world's first powered aircraft. This shows how long the B-52 has remained relevant and reliable. Its ability to adapt and evolve with new technology has allowed it to serve through decades of changing warfare. When stealth technology became a top priority for the Air Force, the B-2 Spirit was developed. The B-2 was a groundbreaking aircraft designed to be nearly invisible to radar while carrying a powerful payload. There were plans to produce many B-2 bombers to eventually replace both the B-52 and the B-1. However, the B-2 was incredibly expensive to produce and maintain. Each bomber cost over $2 billion, making it one of the most expensive military aircraft ever built. Additionally, the collapse of the Soviet Union and the end of the Cold War reduced the immediate need for such a costly bomber. As a result, the project was scaled back significantly, and only 21 B-2 bombers were ever built. Despite these efforts to replace it, The B-52 remains a central part of the United States Air Force's bomber fleet. Its durability, reliability, and ability to adapt to new technologies have earned it a reputation as irreplaceable. The fact that it has outlasted multiple attempts to replace it shows just how effective and valuable this bomber truly is. As the B-21 Raider steps into the spotlight, the B-52 continues to serve, carrying on its legacy as a symbol of enduring strength in the Air Force. The U.S. Air Force plans to bring the B-21 Raider into service around 2027, while the B-1 Lancer is expected to retire by 2036. Although the B-2 Spirit was supposed to retire soon after, the Air Force is investing $7 billion to upgrade the 19 remaining B-2s. These upgrades might keep the B-2s flying into the 2040s. Meanwhile, the B-52 Stratofortress is set to serve into the 2050s or even longer, meaning it will outlast three of its successors, the XB-70, B-1, and B-2. It's a strange idea to imagine the old B-52 flying alongside the new B-21 Raider. They seem like an odd pair, but they have different missions and strengths. The B-52 is cheaper to operate and can carry a heavier load. The B-21 is more advanced and expensive, designed for stealth missions where it needs to avoid enemy detection. On the other hand, the B-52 is a reliable workhorse that can deliver a massive payload. In a way, the B-52 has proven itself timeless, adapting to new technologies while still being practical and powerful. The Air Force's decision to keep the B-52 flying for so long shows how valuable it remains, even as newer bombers like the B-21 take on more specialized roles. Over the decades, the B-52 Stratofortress has undergone numerous enhancements to bolster its combat effectiveness. In 1971, the G and H models were upgraded to carry up to 20 AGM-69 SRAM nuclear missiles, significantly boosting their strategic strike capabilities. To further extend its reach, the B-52 was later equipped with air-launched cruise missiles. Following evaluations of the Boeing AGM-86 and the General Dynamics AGM-109 Tomahawk, the AGM-86B was chosen for deployment. This modification allowed 194 B-52Gs and Hs to carry 12 missiles on underwing pylons, with 82 B-52Hs additionally modified to house another 8 missiles on a rotary launcher within the bomb bay. Beyond nuclear armaments, the B-52's conventional warfare capabilities were also enhanced. 30 B-52Gs were modified to carry up to 12 AGM-84 Harpoon anti-ship missiles each, while 12 others were adapted for the AGM-142 HAVNAP standoff air-to-ground missile. These improvements enabled the B-52 to perform strategic attacks, close air support, air interdiction, offensive counter-air, and maritime operations. In the 1990s, the Conventional Enhancement Modification Program further expanded the B-52H's arsenal. This initiative integrated advanced weaponry, such as the Joint Direct Attack Munition, Wind-Corrected Munitions Dispenser guided bombs, the AGM-154 glide bomb, and the AGM-158 JSSM missile. Additionally, the program introduced new radios, integrated the Global Positioning System into the aircraft's navigation system, and upgraded the undernose FLIR to a more modern unit. By around 2010, the B-52's role shifted away from delivering nuclear gravity bombs and focused instead on nuclear cruise missiles and expanding its conventional strike capabilities. This transition was due to the aircraft's decreasing survivability against modern air defenses. Looking ahead, the B-52 is set to incorporate cutting-edge weaponry, including the AGM-183A air-launched rapid response hypersonic missile and the forthcoming long-range standoff nuclear-armed air-launched cruise missile. These advancements underscore the B-52's enduring role in modern aerial warfare. Right now, the B-52H bombers are being upgraded to a new version called the B-52J. These upgrades include brand new Rolls-Royce F-130 engines, a variant of the AN/APQ-82 radar, and updated communication and navigation systems. Despite these improvements, the B-52J will still be very easy to spot on radar. However, even with its lack of stealth, the B-52J will still play a big role for the U.S. Air Force. It will likely act as a long-range missile carrier, able to fire advanced hypersonic missiles like the AGM-138 ARRW from far outside an enemy's defense zone. Meanwhile, the B-21 Raider will do the sneaky high-risk missions, getting close to heavily defended targets that the B-52 can't reach. This idea of using both the B-52 and B-21 together is similar to how the Air Force pairs the F-22 Raptor and F-15EX Strike Eagle II. The F-22 is built for stealthy, close-up combat, while the F-15EX can handle more straightforward, less risky missions. Now back to the latest U.S. nuclear bomber. One interesting fact about the B-21 is that some experts think the bomber could blur the line between a bomber and a fighter jet, possibly taking on air superiority missions. Despite being labeled a bomber with the B in its name, the B-21 is really a versatile, multi-role aircraft. That being said, the B-52 and B-21 represent two different styles of fighting. The B-52 is all about power and range, carrying heavy loads and firing from afar. The B-21 is about stealth, precision, and getting in and out without being seen. Together, they create a powerful team, balancing brute force and silent, high-tech strikes. The Air Force plans to officially deploy the B-21 Raider as soon as possible. Once it enters service, its primary home will be Ellsworth Air Force Base in South Dakota, where it will also serve as a training center. If needed, Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri and Dyess Air Force Base in Texas will serve as backup bases. The Air Force believes that the B-21 will play a critical role in maintaining America's air power for years to come. What makes the B-21 even more impressive is that it's designed to handle the tough challenges of future warfare. Its advanced technology, including possible use of artificial intelligence for mission planning and coordination, shows that it's built not just for today, but for tomorrow's battles. The B-21 is part of the Air Force's effort to modernize its fleet, especially as older bombers like the B-1B Lancer and B-2 Spirit are set to retire. The B-21 Raider also highlights the strong partnership between the Air Force and Northrop Grumman, the company that built this incredible aircraft. Both are working hard to make sure the bomber meets its timeline and performs as expected. With its long-range strike capabilities and stealthy design, the B-21 could become a crucial part of the U.S. military strategy for decades. As the world waits for the B-21 to officially join the Air Force, many are curious about how it will compare to other advanced aircraft worldwide. With countries like China developing their own advanced stealth technology, the B-21 Raider will need to stay ahead to maintain its edge. According to reports, China is actively enhancing its nuclear bomber capabilities. The H-6N bomber has been observed carrying air-launched ballistic missiles, potentially hypersonic, significantly extending China's strike range and posing challenges to existing defense systems. Concurrently, China is developing the H-20, a long-range stealth bomber, although its progress appears delayed. These advancements are part of China's broader strategy to modernize its military forces and expand its nuclear arsenal. Recent reports indicate that China has nearly tripled its nuclear warhead stockpile since 2020. Additionally, the development of nuclear-powered aircraft carriers and submarines underscores China's commitment to enhancing its strategic military capabilities. China has developed a weapon that threatens to transform the balance of power in the Indo-Pacific. The People's Liberation Army Air Force has long pursued the development of a next-generation stealth bomber designated the Xian-20, an aircraft designed to give Beijing its first dedicated strategic bombing capability with the range, stealth, and strike power to threaten American bases, naval formations, and even the continental United States itself. After nearly a decade of secretive development, satellite imagery emerged in 2025, suggesting that the H-20 is ready to dominate the skies. What capabilities does the H-20 possess that have American planners genuinely concerned? How did China achieve such rapid progress in developing a complex stealth bomber? Join us as we examine China's H-20 stealth bomber program and why it has caught the United States' attention. For the entirety of the post-Cold War era, the United States has maintained a monopoly on operational stealth bomber technology. The Northrop Grumman B-2 Spirit, which was developed during the 1980s and first entering service in 1997, represented a technological achievement so advanced that no other nation could replicate it for decades. The B-2's flying wing design, sophisticated low observable materials, and advanced avionics systems provided American forces with an unparalleled capability to penetrate contested airspace, strike heavily defended targets, and survive enemy air defenses that would destroy conventional aircraft. For nearly 3 decades, the B-2 remained the world's only operational stealth bomber, giving the United States an exclusive capability that underlay much of American military superiority globally, and particularly in the Pacific. This American monopoly over stealth bombing capability reflected the enormous technological and industrial challenges involved in developing such a complex weapon system. Creating a stealth strategic bomber requires mastery across multiple cutting-edge domains simultaneously. The aircraft must feature aerodynamic shaping designed specifically to minimize radar cross-section, with every surface optimized to reflect radar waves away from enemy detection systems. The materials must incorporate advanced composites and radar-absorbing coatings that reduce the aircraft's detectability to electromagnetic surveillance. The engines must be designed with inlet and nozzle treatments that shield hot engine exhaust from infrared detection while maintaining the power necessary to propel a massive aircraft across intercontinental distances. The flight control systems must integrate complex avionics designed to operate in contested electromagnetic environments where adversaries attempt to jam communications and confuse navigation systems. And the aircraft must achieve this while carrying massive weapons payloads across ranges exceeding 8,000 kilometers without refueling, a combination of requirements that no other nation had successfully achieved. China's historical approach to military aviation reflected this technological gap. The People's Liberation Army Air Force operated the Hongzhou H-6 medium-range bomber, a licensed production variant of the Soviet-era Tupolev Tu-16 Badger, a design that first flew in 1942. Despite decades of incremental upgrades and modifications, the H-6 and its various derivatives remain subsonic aircraft with no stealth characteristics whatsoever, dependent on long-range cruise missiles for strike capability rather than penetrating air defenses through speed or maneuverability. The H-6 variants could carry air-launched ballistic missiles with intercontinental range, enabling them to strike distant targets. But the bombers themselves lacked the penetrating capability to survive modern air defenses. This technological limitation reflected broader Chinese military doctrine that emphasized missiles over bombers, valuing standoff strike capabilities delivered by unmanned systems over the complex challenge of developing crewed strategic aircraft. Beginning in 2016, this strategic calculus shifted. People's Liberation Army Air Force General Ma Xiaotian announced during an Air Force Open Day that the PLAAF was undertaking development of a next-generation long-range stealth bomber. The announcement came amid broader Chinese military modernization and reflected strategic recognition that completion of a modern nuclear triad, comprising intercontinental ballistic missiles, submarine-launched ballistic missiles, and long-range bombers, required fielding a credible air-breathing delivery system for strategic weapons. The H-20 program emerged as China's response to this strategic requirement, representing a commitment to developing a weapon system that would give Beijing parity with the world's most advanced military powers. For years following the initial announcement, the H-20 program remained shrouded in mystery. No official images were released, no detailed specifications were provided, and the Chinese government offered only vague statements about development progress. Instead, information came through controlled leaks, satellite imagery, speculation by defense analysts, and occasional mentions in state media. In 2021, a recruitment video released by the PLAAF featured animated depictions of a flying wing aircraft described as the H-20. The silhouette bore striking resemblance to the American B-2 Spirit, featuring the distinctive diamond shape and cranked delta wing platform characteristic of modern stealth bombers. In 2022, 2 separate prototype designs surfaced online, generating intense speculation about whether these represented genuine H-20 designs or merely conceptual artwork. Throughout 2024, Chinese officials grew increasingly bold in teasing the H-20's development. In June 2024, then PLAAF Deputy Commander Wang Wei stated that the new stealth bomber would be unveiled soon, and that there were no technological bottlenecks remaining in its development. This statement suggested that the PLAAF had overcome the major engineering challenges involved in creating a stealth aircraft and was preparing to transition the program from development into operational testing and eventual production. Coming from a senior PLAAF officer, the claim carried significant weight, suggesting that Chinese military leadership possessed confidence in the project's progress. Then in late 2024 and early 2025, satellite imagery and photographs began circulating, suggesting that the H-20 might have already conducted flight tests. The most significant evidence came in the form of leaked satellite imagery, showing what analysts believed to be the H-20 undergoing operations at a test facility near Xinjiang province. The aircraft in the imagery displayed characteristics consistent with earlier artistic renderings. A large flying wing design with a cranked delta planform, a central fuselage bulge to house weapons bays and fuel, and what appeared to be two separate internal weapons bays, a critical feature for stealth aircraft seeking to minimize radar cross-section by storing ordnance internally rather than on external hardpoints. More provocatively, photographs and video footage posted on Chinese social media in January 2026 appeared to show a large aircraft conducting flight test operations. While not officially confirmed as the H-20, the aircraft in the imagery displayed characteristics consistent with expected H-20 design features. The videos showed a large, diamond-shaped aircraft with multiple engines, but producing a single contrail, a phenomenon that defense analysts associated with advanced engine technologies designed to minimize infrared and visible signatures. The aircraft appeared to demonstrate stable flight characteristics and was photographed from multiple angles, suggesting sustained, controlled test operations rather than a single brief sortie. American military officials initially expressed skepticism about claims regarding the H-20's operational status. In December 2024, the United States Department of Defense published its annual assessment of Chinese military power, stating that the H-20 was not expected to enter operational service until the 2030 decade. Pentagon analysts, when interviewed privately, expressed doubts about Chinese technical capabilities and suggested that engineering challenges in developing stealth aircraft might delay or derail the program entirely. An unnamed Department of Defense official quoted by Breaking Defense stated that China had encountered significant design challenges and that the H-20 would likely prove inferior to American stealth bombers, particularly the forthcoming B-21 Raider. However, the satellite imagery and video footage that emerged in late 2024 and early 2025 shifted American assessments. The evidence suggested that China had progressed further than official American intelligence had acknowledged. Rather than existing only as designs and computer models, the H-20 appeared to be entering actual flight testing. Rather than facing insurmountable engineering obstacles, Chinese engineers appeared to have solved fundamental technical challenges involving stealth shaping, material science, and flight control systems. The timeline suggested that operational deployment might not be as distant as American officials had publicly claimed. The H-20 design reflects characteristics consistent with 5th and 6th generation stealth bomber requirements. The aircraft is expected to be a subsonic flying wing design featuring a distinctive crank delta planform optimized for low radar observability. The estimated range exceeds 8,500 kilometers, with some American intelligence assessments suggesting ranges exceeding 10,000 kilometers without refueling. The payload capacity is assessed at 10 to 15 tons, sufficient for multiple air-launched cruise missiles or conventional precision-guided munitions. The design incorporates 2 internal weapons bays, critical for maintaining stealth by storing ordnance internally rather than on external hardpoints that would dramatically increase radar cross-section. Critically, the H-20 is designed for sustained operations in contested airspace where enemy air defense systems operate continuously. This represents a fundamental departure from the H-6 and other legacy Chinese bombers, which rely on standoff missile delivery from beyond air defense range. The H-20's penetrating strike capability, its ability to fly through defended airspace without being detected or successfully engaged, transforms Chinese military doctrine and capabilities. Rather than launching cruise missiles from beyond air defense coverage, the H-20 could itself penetrate and survive hostile air defenses, delivering weapons against targets that would otherwise remain beyond reach of standoff delivery systems. The strategic implications of an operational H-20 extend far beyond the Asia-Pacific region. With a range exceeding 10,000 kilometers, the H-20 could strike targets throughout Asia, parts of Europe, and significant portions of North America. Combined with air-launched cruise missiles carried in internal bays, the H-20 could threaten American military bases in Japan, South Korea, Guam, Australia, and the Philippines. More provocatively, if the H-20 entered service with extended-range air-launched cruise missiles, it could deliver strikes against the continental United States, reaching targets in Alaska, Hawaii, and potentially the American mainland. This capability would complete China's nuclear triad: intercontinental ballistic missiles, submarine-launched ballistic missiles, and long-range bombers, matching the strategic forces of the world's most advanced nuclear powers. The H-20's emergence as an operational system would represent a dramatic shift in strategic balance. Currently, China's strategic deterrent relies heavily on land-based intercontinental ballistic missiles and an emerging submarine-launched ballistic missile force. These systems, while formidable, are vulnerable to American anti-access and area denial strategies designed to degrade Chinese missiles on the ground or in their base areas or intercept them during flight. The H-20, operating from dispersed bases and capable of maneuvering to avoid air defenses, would provide a more survivable second strike option. The combination of the H-20 with modern air-launched cruise missiles would give Beijing a flexible strategic deterrent less vulnerable to American preemptive attack than current systems. Beyond nuclear deterrence, the H-20 would provide conventional strike capabilities that would fundamentally challenge American military operations in the Pacific. The H-20 could conduct long-range bombing against American bases, carrier strike groups, and logistics facilities throughout the region. The aircraft's stealth characteristics would make it difficult to detect, track, and engage with existing air defense systems. Paired with long-range precision-guided munitions, the H-20 could conduct deep strike missions against hardened targets that have heretofore been largely invulnerable to Chinese conventional air power. The emergence of such capability would force American military planners to reconsider basing strategies, force dispersal, hardening requirements, and air defense postures that have been optimized for regional conflicts against opponents lacking sophisticated air threats. The technical achievement that the H-20 represents is also significant. Creating a stealth strategic bomber requires capabilities across multiple domains: aeronautical engineering, material science, avionics integration, and manufacturing processes. Only the United States has ever successfully brought such a complex system from concept through development to operational service. Russian attempts to develop stealth bombers have largely stalled, with Moscow relying on legacy Soviet designs for its strategic bombing force. European nations have focused on fifth-generation fighters rather than strategic bombers. The fact that China appears to have successfully engineered a stealth bomber design and possibly already conducted flight tests indicates that Chinese capabilities in advanced aerospace technology have reached a level that was previously assumed to be unique to the United States. This technological achievement likely benefited from external assistance in the acquisition of technology. American intelligence agencies have long indicated that Chinese engineers obtain information regarding the B-2 Spirit through espionage. In the early 2000s, Noshir Gawadia, a lead engineer on the B-2 program at Northrop Grumman, was indicted for selling detailed information about stealth bomber design and construction to China. While Gawadia was eventually convicted and imprisoned, the damage to American security had been accomplished. The information he provided gave Chinese engineers detailed knowledge of stealth design principles, material selection, manufacturing processes, and testing methodologies that would otherwise have required decades of independent development through trial and error. Additionally, China has benefited from advances demonstrated in its fifth-generation fighter programs. The Chengdu J-20 and Shenyang J-35 fighter programs have provided operational experience with stealth shaping, radar-absorbing coatings, internal weapons carriage, and sensor integration across all aspect fighter operations. The technologies refined in fighter development, materials science, shaping optimization, and manufacturing processes translate directly to bomber applications. The knowledge accumulated through producing hundreds of fifth-generation fighters provides China with industrial experience and supply chain capabilities that facilitate rapid scaling of stealth bomber production once the basic design is proven. The American response to China's stealth bomber development centers on accelerated development of the Northrop Grumman B-21 Raider, the next-generation stealth bomber designed to succeed the aging B-2 Spirit in B-1B Lancer. The B-21 represents a fundamental advance over its predecessor, incorporating design features specifically optimized for operations in the Indo-Pacific against advanced Chinese air defenses. The aircraft features a flying wing design similar to the B-2, but incorporates advances in materials, avionics, networking, and open systems architecture that make it more capable, more adaptable, and easier to upgrade than the B-2. The B-21 differs from the B-2 in fundamental ways. The aircraft is smaller and lighter, designed for efficiency rather than maximum payload, reflecting modern preferences for standoff, delivery of precision weapons rather than massive internal bomb loads. The avionics suite incorporates modern digital architecture, enabling rapid integration of new sensors and weapons, contrasting sharply with the B-2's analog systems that are difficult and expensive to upgrade. The open systems architecture allows for rapid incorporation of new technologies as they mature, extending the B-21's operational relevance across the decades of its service life. The aircraft is designed for distributed operations, capable of operating from diverse basing locations and integrating seamlessly with allied forces through advanced data sharing and networked warfare concepts. In January 2026, the Northrop Grumman B-21 Raider conducted its second flight from Edwards Air Force Base in California, demonstrating the continued progress of the program toward operational service. The second test aircraft, designated RQ-183, represents one of several test aircraft participating in developmental flight testing. Air Force officials indicated that subsequent aircraft would arrive in 2026, with at least 2 additional test aircraft expected to support accelerated evaluation of the bomber's performance, handling, and mission systems. The aircraft conducted at Edwards are built to production standards, differing from test airframes in previous programs that were typically skeletal structures lacking combat systems and capabilities. The Trump administration's fiscal year 2026 budget request allocated $10.3 billion to the B-21 program across research, development, procurement, modernization, and military construction categories. This represents a substantial increase compared to previous budget cycles and reflects high-level strategic prioritization of the bomber program as a response to emerging threats from China and Russia. Notably, the Department of Defense allocated an additional $4.5 billion specifically for expanding production capacity at Northrop Grumman's Plant 42 facility in Palmdale, California, where B-21 aircraft are manufactured. This funding expansion enables ramping production rates and accelerating delivery of aircraft to operational squadrons. American military officials stated that the B-21 could achieve initial operational capability in 2027, subject to successful completion of developmental testing. However, significant questions persist regarding the total number of B-21 aircraft the Air Force intends to acquire and the pace of production. Currently, the Air Force plans to purchase 100 B-21 aircraft, a number that experts from the Heritage Foundation, Center for Strategic and Budgetary Assessments, and other organizations argue is dangerously low. These analysts recommend purchasing 145 to 200 B-21 aircraft to provide adequate forces for strategic deterrence, while maintaining sufficient numbers to sustain losses in potential conflicts. The shortage of planned stealth bombers creates a fundamental strategic problem. A single B-21 operating alone lacks the redundancy and surge capacity necessary for modern military operations. When 7 B-2 bombers were required to deliver specialized penetrating munitions during Operation Midnight Hammer in June 2025, when B-2 forces struck Iranian nuclear facilities, the disparity between desired forces and available forces became apparent. The small size of the operational B-2 fleet forces lengthy missions to be conducted sequentially rather than simultaneously, extending campaign timelines and reducing flexibility. The planned 100 aircraft B-21 force would suffer from similar constraints. Moreover, the aging B-2 Spirit and B-1B Lancer aircraft that currently constitute the American Strategic Bomber Force require increasing maintenance and face growing reliability challenges as their systems age. The B-2, first delivered in 1989, is now over 3 decades old. While the aircraft continues to perform effectively, component reliability degrades with age, and the specialized maintenance requirements for stealth coatings and low observable materials consume substantial resources. The B-1B, introduced in 1985, faces similar age-related challenges. Replacing these legacy aircraft with the B-21 will require acquiring aircraft in sufficient numbers, not only to replace the aircraft being retired, but also to actually expand the operational fleet to meet current and projected operational demands. The implications of China's H-20 development extend beyond the bilateral competition between American and Chinese military forces. The emergence of a second stealth bomber nation signals the proliferation of advanced military technologies beyond the traditional domain of Western nations. Stealth technology has long been an exclusive capability of the United States, granting American forces extraordinary advantages in contested environments. China's successful development of stealth bombers demonstrates that this American monopoly has definitively ended and that other nations will follow in developing their own stealth aircraft in the coming decades. Thanks for watching. While you are still here, click on the link appearing on your screen to check out another of our videos. See you there.